quick video. Donald Barker here with a look at my chariot. The supports, nothing underneath except this one support and these chocks to stop the wheels from moving backwards and forwards on either side. And I've noticed that there's some concerns regarding the hubs when they're in just the timber state as they were before. What's happening is cracks are forming when the axle bends slightly, and this is a brand new axle which is made out of solid hardwood, Victorian ash, which is quarter sawn as well, and the grain of the axle is running vertically, which gives you the maximum strength out of the piece of timber. And that's why I'm doing all this wrapping. In ancient times they would have created these parts out of timber and then wrapped them with rawhide. And here I've used some like over there I've used some jute cord. Here I've used some cotton cord. Just it's a little bit finer and less coarse, and I think once this gets coated with resin, which is my substitute for rawhide, like in these places here, you'll get a nice hard shell. Here too you can see this joint has been made with jute cord wrapping. And I'm noticing that while this section of the axle is very strong, so there's no issues when you stand right above the axle, and the more you lean forward, I've noticed the springier it gets. So it's almost like the floor with these support rods and this draft pole act almost like a suspension system. Actually no, they do act like a suspension system to take the shock from the bumps. However, there's still some more wrapping obviously in this section to do, and I'm also gonna have to sand these down, shape them a little bit more, fill up all the holes from the particle board, and then paint it and wrap it as well, and then resin it with epoxy resin over the cord to simulate my rawhide. So we've got these end caps, and these end caps will have a metal pin, and that'll be my linchpin in here, and it's got a little star symbol in there, and same thing on this side. So again, I haven't drilled the holes out for the pins yet, because I'm thinking maybe I might want to change the design. So if I do, it's possible that the hole placement could be different, and I don't want to be drilling holes into my axle unless I know 100% where the hole is going to be. So, but yeah, we can now finally put two wheels on, stand it up, and I think this will make a great display chariot. You can really get a sense of what it would be like, and it's a full step. So you can see that's one full step, and the bar to get up. So that works perfectly. And I've also got these loops here which you see in the reliefs, usually used by the third man, occasionally by the archer as well when there's only 2 people in the cabin. And they work a treat. I'm totally supported now. Nothing at the back of me to support me. And you can see I've got all my weight of about 75 kilos, and that's not moving anywhere. Ideally, I would have liked to have put another one in the center, which should have been done a little bit earlier. I think before I put the cabin cover on, but that's okay. I managed to get 2 around this support. So there's still a bit of decorating to do, a bit of fine painting. So just little bits and pieces here like this to sand and repaint. And in here where I put the pin, and over here too where I put the pin, just touch it up and yeah, paint it, and we'll be ready. Now I also need to do a bit more resining here. So this is my my bracket on that you see in the reliefs around the draft pole, and that's been laced, and the lacing comes in the center here, as you can see, and that goes around this cabin pole and back out the side. And as you can see, it's all matted, and for real, like, this is beautifully made for suspension. Now, one thing is a slight modification, and I need this in order for me to be able to make repairs if things go wrong regarding the axle and the wheels. So what I've done here is I've used bolts to bolt the cabin to the chassis and the axle, and it's good I did. Had I have glued it in permanently, what would have happened is when my axle would have snapped, I wouldn't have been able to replace it without having to do the whole thing all over again. So I'm so glad that I used the bolts in this case. And if I want to make any future modifications, whether it's to the axle or the wheels, I'll have the ability to take these out, replace the axle, and mount a new one. And I'm actually thinking that I might have to, while these might be okay for display wheels, to be honest, I don't think the timber that I've used, which is particle board, is strong enough to hold the strain. So I'm gonna have to coat the entire wheel with resin. So I'm just doing my wrapping, and then after that the whole wheel will get coated with resin, and I hope that would strengthen and protect that particle board, because it is so soft and chippy. As you can see, yeah, you get little chips every time you move over rough surfaces, especially like this where there's gravel or just loose rock all over the place. So I'm also thinking about what to do with the outside to protect the tread, to protect the timber. It's possible I might just go for jute cord wrapping and resin that as well. So the same thing. This was made. This draft pole was made out of the particle board, and I think it's not stiff enough for load-bearing scenarios with horses. I think as soon as the horses will come to turn, this pole, because it's a little bit too flimsy because of the material, is just gonna break and splinter everywhere. So I'm gonna give it a coat of resin. I hope that's gonna strengthen it, but again, I think if I need to use it for actual hitch it up like to horses, I'll probably need to make a modification, maybe some reinforcement inside of some much stronger material, so that it can, while flexing, it won't just snap. And this would be a big problem, because right now this draft pole is totally in. It's got a pin inside which connects it to the chassis, and it's also got a horizontal pin so that it can't come out. And these support rods, obviously there's a plate under, a wooden plate under this, which sits into a closed rebate, and then it's been wrapped. So these are permanent joins now, and I can't just go around taking them off anymore. These are permanently in place. So the only things I can take off now is just the axle and the wheels. So yeah, otherwise the rest of the chariot is pretty much all together. So yeah, you can see it's just some masking tape, just from some painting, covering up what I've done before, so that's okay. Now let's have a look and see what it looks like underneath. So underneath, let's see. Okay, so underneath you can see the entire mesh, and you see the shape of the chassis. This is my support. It's really pretty solid construction, and I think it weighs quite a bit. It's quite hefty, but it's good. It gives me the strength that I think that the chariot needs. And also, it's just, I know